Now entering Nerdist.com.
Hello and welcome to Today We Learned. How are you guys doing today? Really? Oh, that's crazy. Whoa. Stephanie said that? About you? In front of everyone? I think she needs to check her attitude at the door, along with her coat. She looks way too warm. But enough about Stephanie. Let's talk about today's show. Guys, we have an amazing show for you today. Actually, let me introduce myself first. I'm Dan Casey. Good to meet you if we haven't met before. Good to see you if we have. And actually, I'm not on today's show. This is the only part that I get to be on because I was unfortunately not able to make it. And I was shaking my fist at the heavens because today's show is so good. Our guest today, you know her from Star Wars The Clone Wars, from Robot Chicken, from Walk the Line. She has been in so much cool stuff, and she is one of the raddest people in town. But before I reveal the name of our mystery guest, in case you just click this podcast blindly, I have a favor to ask you. Now, you know that we have great advertisers that support this show to keep it free for you guys. And one of the reasons advertisers like Today We Learned is that they know the show has awesome listeners. You know, like yourself. And so once a year, we have to run a listener survey to help demonstrate this to advertisers. And right now, we have a brand new survey that I would really appreciate if you could take to help us learn more about you, the audience. And you can do that by going to podsurvey.com/today. Now, the survey is only going to take you 5 minutes. Now, I know what you're thinking. 5 minutes? That's an eternity. Well, yeah, you know what? Maybe, if you're a dog, that'd be like 35 minutes because time is 7 times as long for them. I'm pretty sure that's how that works, but what do I know? I'm not the dog whisperer, nor am I a Time Lord or a mathematician. Anyway, we're going to ask you some questions about yourself and what you like to buy, and it's completely anonymous. That means it's going to be like Craigslist or, I don't know. Is the Craigslist even anonymous anymore? I don't know. Forget the Craigslist metaphor. The point is, we're not going to sell your identity to weird people on the internet. Your answers will help us find advertisers that are well-matched to you, your interest, and the show. And the best part is, when you're finished, you enter a monthly drawing to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Guys, $100 on Amazon? You could buy like 10 copies of my book. Or whatever you want to spend it on. But, you know, I've got a book on there. 100 Things Avengers fans should know and do before they die. But I digress. Even if you've taken one of our previous surveys, I would kindly request that you take this new one because it's been completely revised, and advertisers like it when you have up-to-date answers. Actually, most people like it when you have up-to-date answers about pretty much anything. And plus, you have a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. It's not like we're giving you a gift card to Spencer's Gifts. We're not giving you a gift card to some place that is atrocious like Baby Gap for Men. No, this is Amazon. Something you can use. Now, guys, one more time. That URL is podsurvey.com/today. That's podsurvey.com/today. TODAY. Thank you so much for helping us find the best advertisers possible so we can keep this show free. Because, as we all know, paying for stuff sucks. So, with that out of the way, let's get to the show, shall we? Great. I'm glad you agree. Without further ado, Today We Learned, number 91, with Clare Grant.
Today We Learned. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Today We Learn. My name is Razzle. Dan is absent. He is doing very cool things. But we make up for his absence with a double awesome guest today. Very talented actress, very funny, very awesome friend of mine, Clare Grant, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Hi, Claire. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Doing well. Good to see you again. I feel like I haven't seen you in a week.
Yeah. Yes.
Since was it Kyle's that premiere for that
movie premiere
yeah.
for Barely Lethal.
Yeah. We I meant to tell you guys because I think it was that you were Seth that didn't like pickles either.
Oh, it's me.
That's you.
Maybe Seth too, but he tolerates them.
Because we were standing there and one of those girls came by with a tray of these sliders. So we were at our Kyle Newman, a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours, who was on the podcast not too long ago. He had a movie come out called Barely Lethal. They had their after the movie premiere party, and we were at it. And they had these like waitresses walking around with trays of sliders. And on these sliders of burgers, they had like all this like weird sauce and pickles on it. and I'm not into any of that type of
Nope.
stuff. So what I did is I hung out by the door, and when next time the girl came out, she's like, "Oh, can I get you one of? Do you want one of these?" And I'm like, here's the deal. Here's a weird question, and I'm like an 8-year-old. Is there any way I can just get like a couple plain ones? And she's like, "Let me go see what I can do." A minute later, she walks out with a tray of plain ones for me.
That's amazing.
So I meant to tell you guys that, but I forgot.
I wish that would happen at all of the parties, because there's always some sort of weird, fancy topping that I just don't want.
Yeah, it's like just I mean, I'm all for being fancy, but I also like simple. Like,
I'm a simple eater.
feed me like an 8-year-old. Like, give me some Capri Suns.
Yes.
Give me some juice
Yes.
boxes.
How happy are you that Capri Sun makes clear bottoms now?
I'm so excited.
Yes.
I love Capri Sun
I do
so
too.
much. It's so
I do
good.
too.
What's your favorite? What's your go-to flavor?
I like, my go-to is the cherry, but I also love the fruit punch.
Okay.
Those two.
Fruit punch is really good. Pacific Cooler is always
I like Pacific
go-to.
Cooler. It's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. Claire, as I mentioned, as our audience knows, and as you know, because I told you 8 minutes ago, we start off the episode, we start off every podcast with the guest providing a fact about themselves or something they learned recently or both, etc., etc. Do you got anything interesting you'd like to share with us today?
Well, I guess I could do both, and then I don't know. I don't ever know what's interesting to talk about, guys. But I did watch San Andreas last night.
Yes.
And I learned a couple of very important things.
Okay.
One, if an earthquake really does hit that's like crazy big, it kind of doesn't matter how prepared you think you are, because it's just going to happen and you're just going to be fucked. Also, wow, I love The Rock.
The Rock is so good.
He makes anything awesome.
Right?
Yes.
Like, I love Dwayne Johnson, DJ, I call him, because we're really tight.
Yes.
He's a good buddy of mine.
I love him.
The Rock, if you're listening, please be my friend. I just want to be, that's on my bucket list, be friends with The Rock. I just want to be friends with him, so, like, when I'm at, like, parties or whatever, and I'm, like, introducing him to people, I'm like, and this is The Rock.
Yeah.
Or Mr. The Rock to you. He's so good.
Yeah.
Like, I love him in anything.
Yeah. And another thing I thought was interesting about that movie is that, you know, it's crazy special effects. It's a crazy disaster scenario. Some of the things that those actors are saying are exactly what you think that they would be saying. It's just so on the nose.
I'm glad. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, and it's very enjoyable. But every single actor that they hired is brilliant and really, really good. And they made everything. It was like, it didn't matter how fantastically insane what you were watching was happening. They were so good that you were like, okay, I'm on board.
I got to see that. That's on my list of things. I'll probably see it this weekend.
You have to see it in the theater. I don't think it's as enjoyable. Maybe, I don't know, but
yeah, I like to see
screen.
I want The Rock. I mean, The Rock's big as he is. I want to see him as big as he can be, like on a screen.
Huge.
Like, I got to see him. I got to just see him on the screen because he's so
big.
I love The Rock so much, and I love what's her name, Alex Daddario or whatever.
The wife,
the girl in that movie
the
or whatever.
young girl in the movie.
Yeah, the girl from True Detective.
I don't know what True Detective is, but if you mean that young girl with the crazy blue eyes and the dark hair, I love her. I saw her.
Alex Daddario.
Yes, that girl.
Yeah, that girl.
Yeah, I'm so into her.
I'm in love with her so much.
So into her.
But I got to see it, and because I I love destruction movies.
Yeah,
I just love seeing things, and I'm glad that you say they say things that you would say.
Yeah.
Because I was just talking with a friend of mine yesterday. And there's so many movies, like on telephones, they don't say goodbye, or like on like in normal situations, they're like, "You're gonna talk? No, I'm gonna talk. No, you're gonna talk." And it's like, if this was real, dude, we'd be talking over each other or saying other things, or
yeah.
You wouldn't be so specific.
It was, I guess what I think there probably was some hanging up without saying goodbye, but I think actually the phone calls in this. There were only a few phone. Actually, the phone happened a lot, but every single time it was in the middle of a disaster, so they couldn't say goodbye anyway for some. Something crazy happened. But everything's falling apart, and you expect somebody to say exactly what comes out of their mouth, and it's it just makes you really happy.
I gotta see it. Are you excited for? Were you a fan of Big Trouble in Little China?
Yeah.
Are you excited that The Rock's going to be remaking it?
I mean, I tell you what, you can throw The Rock in anything and it would make it okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I have so many friends that are like, "Oh, that movie's so good, they don't need to remake it." And it's like, look, if they're gonna remake it,
Throw The Rock in it.
Throw The Rock in it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna remake movies, put The Rock in it.
He's fantastic.
Put The Rock in it. Just put The Rock in
put The Rock
everything.
in it. Yeah. I mean, I'll go see that. I generally, as a rule, try not to prejudge remakes of things.
Yes, I'll agree.
Because sometimes you can be surprised. Sometimes it could be good.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of like, a lot of remakes you don't even know that were remakes, really. Like
Yeah.
Father of the Bride. That was a remake.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I mean, they're always remaking things.
There was that.
Put The Rock in it. Father of the Bride 3 with The Rock. Father of the Rock.
I would watch that.
Father of the Rock.
Oh my goodness, I would watch that.
The Rock's the dad.
Yes.
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 There you go. I love it. Claire, I was reading on the internet, and you were born in Memphis, Tennessee.
I was.
How was that?
I loved it.
Yeah?
Yeah. I love growing up in Memphis. I think I appreciate music in a very healthy way.
Okay.
And yeah, I liked the culture of that town.
Memphis, in 2013, had a population of 650,000, making it the largest city in the state of Tennessee, the largest city on the Mississippi River, and the third largest in the greater southeastern United States, whatever that means. And it was 20th in the 20th largest in the United States. 20th largest city.
I would also like to throw out that more songs have been written or mention Memphis than any other city.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
It's crazy. Like a landslide.
It was named, I didn't know this, it was named after the ancient capital of Egypt
Yes.
that is located on the Nile River. Now, I was reading up about this, and it's like in ruins now. Like, it's a no more city. Like, it's not a city anymore.
Yeah.
And the ruins are located near the town of Mit Rahina, about 12 miles south of Cairo. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been there?
I have not. We're actually, Seth and I like to go on big adventure trips every 2 years.
Okay.
And we're tossing that to possibly be our next trip.
Oh, that'd be a good one. Mm-hmm. The pyramids and all that.
Yes.
Egypt would be great.
I want it. Yeah, Memphis is, it is named in honor of Memphis, Egypt, and they built a giant pyramid on the river there. Did you know that?
In Memphis?
In Memphis, Tennessee, there's a river. I mean, the giant pyramid in the skyline on the river.
I'm looking this up right now.
Mm-hmm.
Memphis Pyramid. First thing that comes up is Memphis Pyramid Bass Pro Shop.
Okay,
Is there
so
a Bass Pro Shop there?
fun fact: they built the Memphis Pyramid originally so that as a stadium for music and for the Memphis Tigers, which is their college basketball team, to play basketball in. Yeah, and then after that, then all of a sudden the FedEx built a beautiful state of the art basketball stadium and called it the FedEx Forum, and so the pyramid became empty. And for years and years and years, it was empty, and everybody tossed around what was going to happen to the pyramid. And then Bass Pro Shops bought it. They stuck their label on the front of it, which I actually wish they wouldn't have done because it's not pretty. It's kind of tacky. But the inside of it is like, I think you can go bowling. It's crazy. It's like part theme park, part Bass Pro Shops. It's crazy in there. I think they might have built a swamp inside.
Yeah, it was
maybe a roller coaster. I don't know. I really wanted to go the last time I was in town and didn't.
You didn't. Mm-mm. I'm very upset because I want photos of that. It was built in 1991. It was originally owned and operated jointly by the city of Memphis and Shelby County. The Memphis Pyramid has not been regularly used as a sports or entertainment venue since 2004.
I saw the Grateful Dead there.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. I've seen the Grateful Dead in a pyramid. That's just cool to say.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. Let's see here. See what it says. Closure, Bass Pro Shops and development. Yeah, I mean, look at this photo. It's just huge.
It's
as soon
insane.
as it buffers.
Yeah. It's insane. I need to be there.
There's a pond in there. There's like a little moat.
They built a swamp.
There's like a swamp
I think there's
moat.
rides and games.
It looks like it's almost like it looks like in Vegas, how like you have like the fake indoor cities.
That's exactly what that looks like.
And it looks like, I mean, it looks like the set, like if like on an actual like a movie set almost of like I don't know, it just looks really cool. Do that if you're on your computers, listeners. Look on Bass Pro Pyramid on Wikipedia, and they got it's a
it's crazy to see in Memphis the people who are pro the Bass Pro Shop and the people who are against it.
It is 321 feet tall and has base sides of 591 feet. It is, by some measures, the 6th largest pyramid in the world behind the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Wow. Well, I lived in downtown Memphis in high school, like my last year of high school and a little bit after I graduated. And I lived right on the river, on Riverside Drive, on a huge 22-story apartment building. And my view every day was the river and the bridge. The Memphis Bridge is beautiful, too. It's a giant M-shaped, and then there are lights that go around it that light up at night, and it's really pretty. And then the pyramid popped up, and it was so nice, and what a lovely view.
I love pyramids. Pyramids always fascinate me.
Oh, for sure.
Pyramids, especially in like Egypt, those old pyramids. Like regular glass pyramids are pretty, but
yeah, I think it's really cool that all of the pyramids all over the world are aligned with the same stars.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Aliens.
Well, ancient alien and theorists.
Memphis. It was the Memphis city in Egypt is off of the Nile. Mm-hmm. And the Nile, I knew this, but I didn't know exactly what. Like I was reading up on the Nile, and it's an international river. It's it's a north flowing river, so it flows north, and it's generally regarded as the longest river in the world, which most people know.
I knew that.
But it's an international river, which means that it connects a bunch of different countries.
That makes a lot of sense, yeah.
But it is shared by 11 countries. It runs through 11 countries. It goes through Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Congo Kinshasa, Kenya, Ethiopia, and a bunch of other ones. The Sudans, and then Egypt.
Well, if America broke the states up into countries,
right?
We could say the same thing over here.
How many? Let's see here. I'm curious how many the Mississippi.
How many states it goes through? I don't
Mississippi River states.
But I learned when I was a kid, my dad was a radio DJ and then moved on to radio advertising. And he was the one who explained to me that the difference between radio call signs is the Mississippi River.
Yes.
Which side you're on.
So what is that? Is that W's and K's?
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Isn't that wild?
I think that's really cool.
The Mississippi ranks as the 4th longest, 10th largest river in the world. The river borders and passes through the states of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, that's 5, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Louisiana. 10.
Cool.
Yeah, I was reading up. So your dad was a DJ.
Yeah.
Right? How was that? What was that like? Because back in the day where radio was still relatively...
Yeah, he was a DJ.
Yeah,
he was a DJ on the awesome, fun, hip radio station back in the day, and he used to talk about getting to play the entire wall from Pink Floyd, and how he'd pick songs that were extra long so that he could go have a smoke break or have a coffee date or fun things like that. And he talks about all the really cool musicians that he got to meet and do fun things with. He moved to radio. That's how he met he didn't really meet my mom through being a DJ, but his little brother was also a DJ on the same radio station. Okay. And he met my mom at at a friend of his house. And he saw her date had abandoned her at a party or something. And so she was just sitting in this chair all by herself. And he called his brother and told his brother to dedicate the next song to the blonde in the wing chair in the corner at this party. And my mom heard it and was like, "What?" There was my dad standing there, and he was like, "Hey, it's me. You wanna hang out?" So that's cool.
That's awesome.
And apparently when I was being born, my mom was in labor with me for so long that the DJs on the station all started having a contest to see if listeners could find out how long my mom would be in labor when something, I don't know.
An office pool.
Yeah, office pool.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's really fun. Radio has always fascinated me. I used to have a radio show in high school.
Oh, you did?
It was moons ago.
That's cool.
It was really fun. It's definitely, I was thinking about it the other day, with morning radio and all that, and even being at a party, listening to the radio. It's such a weird thing now to comprehend that, sitting around at night, even in the 80s, I remember being before I was maybe 13, 14, we had nothing, we couldn't really go out late.
Yeah.
Whatever. So we had to stay home. So we'd listen to the radio or watch TV or whatever. But it was there's all those radio shows that was,
yeah, the radio it's meant to be a companion to people who are home, hanging out with their friends, driving in their cars, at work. It's, people develop really close relationships with, DJs and driving home and listening to a specific set of songs at a specific time, or hoping that they do. It's cool.
Yeah, it's really neat. And I was listening, and it's so funny because I read that thing that your dad was a DJ on the Wikipedia, right? And one of the podcasts I generally listen to is called 99% Invisible, and it's a learning it's a really good podcast. And I listened to the new one that I think just came out on Tuesday, and it was about radio. So it was about KDKA, which is the oldest commercial radio station in the United States, if not the world. KDKA in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's known as the world's first commercially licensed radio station. It was created by Westinghouse Electric, but it was also co-created by a gentleman by the name of Frank Conrad, because what he did is he used to work with ham radios and stuff back in the day and just tinker around and play records on that. And long story short, Westinghouse, he kind of would get, he got a little bit of a following. Then he worked for this Westinghouse company, and they're like, hey, we kind of want to put you out of business, but we want you to build a radio station on a roof. Can that be done? And he did. And that was KDKA.
That's cool.
And it was one of the first... it was created in 1920.
Radio, if you think about it, radio is actually really important to our, not just our country's history, but just in communication across the world. It was our main form of getting any information out. It was faster than a newspaper,
Yeah.
Faster than the written word.
And it can, multiples at the same time, live.
Yeah.
When you really think about it, I mean, now you have even with television, to the extent of back when there was only 4 channels, is you had mass populace listening to either the radio, in that Christmas Story where they're gathered around the radio listening.
Yeah.
You had millions of people, because it was, it'd get dark. It'd be, in the wintertime or whatever, or whenever, and people, that was their entertainment. Families would sit around these radio stations and just listen to 2 channels, and they were all connected. They were all simultaneously.
It's like they were all listening to the same person telling a ghost story at a campfire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you, it's so lost. People don't realize how much that shaped the world. I mean, people do, I suppose, but young people don't. I mean, especially with Twitters and HBO Goes and all that, which I love all of those things. But it's an interesting, it was really mind blowing. Especially with TV shows now, you look at ratings and they're like, oh, it only got 4 million people. 4 million people.
4 million people is a lot.
It's still a lot of people to watch something live at the same time. But you go back and you look at MASH and all these old things, and it's 50 million people or 25 million people, and it's just mind-blowing.
Fewer options. There was 3 TV channels.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I remember when the 4th and 5th channels came into existence. That was awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't have cable until I was 22 years old, guys.
Yeah.
I was not raised by MTV like everybody else that I know that's my
Same here.
age. I wasn't raised by Nickelodeon. That stuff was all just lost on me. I miss all those references culturally.
Do you remember they used to have like where they would give you channels for like a few weeks in hopes to get it? Did you ever get like HBO? You'd get like a week of HBO or a week of the Disney Channel when the Disney Channel had their pay cable show?
My aunt and I used to spend like every other weekend at my aunt's house, but my aunt had cable, and I remember when she would get bonus channels. Yeah. But I mean, I really didn't have cable like at all.
What was your favorite show growing up?
Growing up, favorite show?
Like what was
I was a TV junkie. That's hard. I mean, what type of show? My favorite cartoon, my favorite sitcom.
Both of those.
I guess when I was a kid, I think my favorite sitcom, it was probably like Cheers or Night Court. You know?
Cheers is one of my favorite sitcoms ever. Solid joke for joke.
Joke for joke.
That's on
Love
Netflix.
that show. And then I guess I was really into cartoons, and I was deeply in love with Voltron.
Okay.
And
Love Voltron.
Love Voltron. Thundercats.
Oh, Thundercats, so good.
Thundercats.
No, you're into comics. You're into all that stuff. How is that? Do you think not having cable influenced you into that genre? Like, so you would go out and like buy comic books and stuff like that, and into that. Are you a comic book? Are you more into comic books or just like the Voltrons and like? Do you know what I mean?
No,
what's your thing? Like, what's your
the first like nerdy type of thing that I got into were video games.
Okay.
And my grandfather dropped us off a original Nintendo for Christmas one year, and then I got he gave it to my brother, but I liked it more than my brother, and I played it more than my brother, so it eventually just became mine.
Yeah.
And from there, my mom gave us when you registered for the Nintendo, they gave you a free issue, the first free issue of Nintendo Power.
Yeah.
And that
was my jam.
I have the first 200 issues of Nintendo Power. They're on display at my house. I love them. They're my prized possession.
Remember, Nestor and what was the dude's name? The other dude?
Oh, the reviewers in the back?
Yeah. No, but there was a comic inside. It was like the comic book. It was like something in Ness.
I don't remember.
I'm gonna look this up.
I don't remember, but
they all had all the claymation covers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So
well,
good.
The first one was claymation. Yeah, but they gave you. Remember, you could get a prize if you decided to get Nintendo Power. The first 6 issues, it was bi-monthly.
Yeah.
And the prize that I chose was the game Dragon Warrior, which got me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
They Nintendo Power.
Yes.
Listen, this excites the shit out of me.
Oh, good.
Nintendo Power
Changed my life.
Yes. Holy fuck, man.
Yeah.
I remember summertime getting that game from Nintendo Power.
Yep.
They gave you this
Yeah, it
game
was your
for
free gift. Yeah.
They gave you this is like, and A, the game was hard as shit. B,
I played the first 4. Did you play any more beyond Dragon Warrior 1?
I played like 1 and 2.
Because it literally changed my life.
It's holy cow. Dragon Warrior, Nintendo Power.
Yeah.
They sent you, it was like a care package.
Yeah.
They gave you the game.
Mm-hmm.
They gave you this laminated card with all the powers and all the upgrades.
I still have it.
It was
and I still have my map.
Yeah, it was
I have all of it.
It was pink and gray.
Yep.
And it had like the powers and like the hit points and everything for every character. And when it's like, oh, you're level 8, maybe now you should try getting like, what is it? The black magic armor, etc.
Yep.
The gold sword. You should don't fight a gold dude until you're like level 10 or whatever. And then it came with a map.
Yep. The
Holy
metal
cow.
slimes. Remember,
Yes.
you could get 200 XP if you got the metal slimes.
Goddamn, that game is so fun.
Yeah.
I love that game so much.
Yeah, me too. So that got me really into
continue.
fantasy.
Okay.
And then I was like really into fantasy. And then, and I still wasn't really into comics yet beyond like comic strip stuff, like Archie and Garfield and whatever kid comics were in the Sunday newspaper. And then I became friends with this boy named DJ when I was in the 8th grade. And I was at his house one day after school, and he had a poster of Gambit on the wall.
Okay.
And I was like, who the fuck is this guy with the pink eyes and the energy? What's happening here? And he was like, oh, that's Gambit. He's in the X-Men. And I didn't know anything about the X-Men. And he goes, here. And he handed me a stack of X-Men comics that I should read. And then he told me that I should check out the cartoon show on Saturday mornings. So I went home and did all of that. I read all of his comics. I started watching it on Saturdays, and then that's what got me into comics. And I stayed interested in comics. I stayed reading comics currently up until like 6 or 7 years ago, and now I just read like a few selections here and there. It's hard to.
So hard to keep track.
It's hard. It's like hard to really enjoy so many extracurricular activities and be an adult.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah,
very true.
Yeah.
Like people, like even television shows. I watch maybe 5 shows.
Yeah, I go through phases of what I'm going to do with my spare time. It's like sometimes if there's a really awesome video game, like I used to play all of the video games and read all of the comics and watch all of the movies and all of the TV shows. And I don't know what I was doing with my life. Nothing.
Yeah.
But and then I moved here and I was like, oh, maybe I should try to do something with myself. And now it's like, okay, I'll pick one of these things to do in my spare time.
Yeah, like I watch movies now.
Yeah.
I watch Game of Thrones.
Oh, of course.
And
I read those books 15 years ago is when I started reading those books. So I was so excited when they started making the TV show and so happy that I went from having like one person to talk to about Game of Thrones to the whole world can talk to me about it. It's great.
But it's slightly different now, right? They're changing it.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, I'm excited. I haven't read the books, but I read the Wikipedia synopsises.
Oh, you should read the books.
I'm so curious.
There's
and I don't
a reason they made it into a TV show. The books are so good.
But they're so big. They're so thick. They're like
the
I don't
thing
have that
about
time.
fantasy
Like we were just
books,
talking
though,
about reading.
Is that you read them so fast. They just if they're written well, 1,000 pages is
he's
nothing.
never going to finish them though. That's the thing.
He won't finish them.
Die before. Knock on wood.
Well, you know what? He wouldn't be the first fantasy author to die before their series was done. And I'll be honest, my very favorite fantasy series is called The Wheel of Time, and it's written by Robert Jordan, who died before the last 3 books were published. But he had a crazy disease that he knew he had only 2 years left. So he and his wife, who was his editor, sat down with another accomplished fantasy author named Brandon Sanderson and went over a detailed outline of how the next 3 books should go. And then Brandon wrote the freaking books. So George and Robert Jordan are friends. I know that because before the TV show came
We're friends.
George Martin and we're friends, yes. But before the TV show actually premiered on HBO and nobody knew who he was or what the show was, he came to the EW party at Comic-Con, and I saw him sitting alone on a couch with like just his publicist next to him, and he was so sad nobody was talking to him. And I was looking around and I was like, does nobody know that George Martin is sitting right there? What is happening? And so I ran over and I talked to him for at least an hour, and we just talked. We talked about his series, like the books, because obviously the TV show hadn't come out yet, but we talked about his books. I told him how much I loved Robert Jordan. That's how I'd found him as I was reading his blog, and he was like, here's my favorite fantasy authors. And then he told me very sweet stories about Robert Jordan, how they were really good friends in life. So he knows what to do if he thinks he's going to die.
Now, The Wheel of Time, it's 14 books?
Yes, 14 glorious books and one half book prequel.
That's so many books, though.
Oh, God.
Now,
14,000 pages of just bliss.
Now, sell me on that book. What is that about? A wheel and it's a time?
The Wheel of Time is sort of a metaphor, I guess. In that world, nobody really wields magic. Instead, they wield they can wield a power called the One Power, and then everything is tied into threads in the wheel, and I can't even explain it, but it's really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
like fantasy books that aren't so like, this is your wizard, and this is your dragon, and this is your warrior, and this is your princess. Like, I like things that are a little bit different. They never use the words magic in the Wheel of Time. When they call something a dragon, they're either referring to cannons because someone figures out how to make a cannon, or they're referring to a person being a human who has been born into a different body over and over and over again, which is the wheel. The wheel turns and a new generation comes, but the same story just keeps playing out over and over and over again. And the same soul is trying to cleanse the world of darkness over and over again. You know, typical fantasy shit, guys.
See, that's what I like, and that's to agree with you slightly. That's what I love about Game of Thrones is there are kind of like there is magic and dragons and all that,
but it's not. That's not what it's about.
It's not
that's
about
why
that.
I like it too.
And it's like there's no cut and dry. This is the princess. This is the wizard.
It's
this
grown
is
up fantasy, is what it is. It's grown up fantasy.
Everybody's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Nobody's a good guy.
Yeah.
Everybody's got an agenda.
Yeah.
It's all gray. There's no black and white. It's all gray.
Dark Ages.
I love it.
Yeah.
So who do you think Jon Snow's parents are?
I think Jon Snow's parents are Ned's sister.
Yep.
And the Targaryen guy.
It's got to be, obviously, right?
For sure.
Like,
sure.
I really wish they could have. I mean, they kind of explained that you're all caught up, obviously, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also playing a
that's right.
fantasy
Yes.
game.
Now explain how this works, because I seen you tweet about this the other day, and I'm like, I want to end next season. But also, I've heard of other things. Like, I've heard of people doing a Bachelor fantasy league too, so where it's intrigues me because I'm not into sports or anything like that, so I don't get into fantasy leagues as it is.
This is my first fantasy league,
but I could. So how does it work? How do you get points?
Okay, so my friend Nick Roth is the guy who organized all of this, and I think that he stole the word. I think it came from Nerdist somehow.
Okay,
so he has all of the characters out, and he made like small laminated images of all of the characters and their names neatly typed out. He's been very organized about this. It's crazy. So you all come in and you draw to see who gets to pick first, and then the first person who gets to pick gets to draw their name, and then you just keep drawing names until everyone's done. And at the end of each, and then there's a point list, you know. So it's like you get 1 point, 2 point, or 3 point for A, B, and C if your character murders or manipulates or rapes.
Sure.
I love how topical that is right now. That episode,
it's never happened on the show,
right?
Yeah,
it's like the least harmful rape scene in the whole entire series, and everyone is losing it.
Yeah. Oh, you can. We're fine with cutting off dudes' junks and murdering little children and pushing them out windows.
But a woman who like she's letting her. She did it. She said yes.
Yeah.
She knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
She knew what she was doing.
Anyway,
yeah.
I mean, look, she should have listened. Not saying she did. I'm not. Here's the deal. I'm not saying she deserved
it. She should
it.
fucking murder him. What should happen.
I'm not saying she deserved it. A, she should murder him. But B, she should have just listened to her dad in the first season when her dad's like, "Hey, come out of King's Landing," and she's like, "But I want to be queen." She should have just listened to her dad.
I know. I feel bad for her though, because that's what she, you know, especially in that world, that's what she was literally born to do.
Yeah, but she's the only Stark who hasn't got her hands dirty at all. She needs to kill someone. She hasn't, like, she's been living in kingdoms her whole life.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but in the books, she doesn't go back to Winterfell.
Her, right? It was
a
lookalike or
Jenny
something.
Poole or something like that.
Some
so
other girl,
it's very interesting. I like seeing what they do, and I actually don't think that it was a rape scene. I think that she consented to have horrible, violent sex with this guy who is a disgusting fucking human being, and I hope that they kill him horribly, even though I have him. He's one of my characters.
Yeah?
He's one of my characters because I knew that he wins so much in this at this time in his I guess character journey or whatever. So he's super horrible every single episode. So I get mad points for him every single episode. But I'm afraid that something horrible is going to happen to him. I'm going to lose him. So I might have to drop him before something bad happens.
So you can just drop. You can trade and drop.
Yeah.
That's
you can
awesome.
drop, you can trade. It's great. And then after each episode, Nick will literally type out a very long, detailed play-by-play of the episode and award points to every single character in the episode who got points. And then he tallies up the points, and everything is set up in a bracket so that this house is against this house for this episode, and whoever wins advances to the next bracket. I'm in the playoffs right now. I'm actually this week I'm actually going up against my friend Nick Roth, and so we'll see how that goes. I have Drogon
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love Drogon.
Yeah.
I'm so bummed we've only seen him fly overhead in like a little bit.
Well, they mentioned in the episode last week's episode, they said, the only way that we can kill these whites is with fire and dragon glass. With fire? Well, that bitch has 3 dragons that all breathe fire. Bring on the dragons.
Yeah.
That's what's going to have to stop them, right? There's nothing else that can stop them.
Well, but it's not going to be for another 5 years, though.
Melisandre, bitch, she's not going to help anybody do anything. She's the worst.
I don't understand her. I don't get what she does, or like her magic doesn't do shit. And then Valyrian steel, that's got to be out of dragon glass, right? Why did that work?
Valyrian steel,
right?
I don't know what it's made out of. Maybe it's made out of dragon scales.
It has to be made out of something because it killed the White Walkers.
Yeah.
And the only way to kill the White Walkers is fire or... That's
dragon
another thing.
Glass.
Why didn't they just light them on fire?
Was there...
Like, they're all using swords and there's, like, fire pits places. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
There were fire pits? I guess there were.
I don't know. There was that house that burned down.
Yeah.
How was that dude? How was that main White Walker just prancing around in the thing that was on fire? Like, do you know what I mean?
He's got balls.
He was like fighting Jon Snow and all that, and this house that's burning down.
I'm excited. There's so much happening right now that I just don't know what's happening.
I don't know.
I look forward every episode after it's done to reading the reviews about the comparisons between the books and the TV shows, because I don't remember anything from the books at this point, So it's exciting.
We'll take a 180 here.
Yep.
You're a fan of the libations, drinking, right?
Yes.
Are you a fan of Taco Bell?
No.
I just read today that Taco Bell is thinking about selling alcohol at their locations.
No.
Yeah, they're going to sell beer now. So I got a couple of facts about Taco Bell here. Taco Bell was founded by a gentleman by the name of Glenn Bell, who first opened a hot dog stand called Bell's Drive-In in San Bernardino, California in 1946. He was 23 years old. About 20 years later, he built the first Taco Bell in Downey, California in 1962. Then in 1970, Taco Bell went public with 325 restaurants. And in 1978, PepsiCo purchased Taco Bell from Glenn Bell. Another cool thing about Taco Bell, they give out $500 gift cards to up-and-coming touring indie rock bands.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And Subway, in 2013, Subway has more locations than McDonald's, more locations than Starbucks, and Taco Bell's parent company, Yum Brand, Yums owns KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell.
I didn't know that.
Subway has more locations than Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and KFC combined.
You know what? That actually makes me really proud of America. Seriously.
Yeah.
Like, stop. What is it? It's so much better to eat there than it is at any of the other places you mentioned.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I
The
can't
food
stand...
there.
I can't... McDonald's. I mean,
I don't
eat
eat
their
fast
fries,
food.
but I don't...
Well, I eat In-N-Out, but I don't...
In-N-Out's... I mean, I'm not a huge fan of In-N-Out. I don't generally eat fast food. I'll eat Del Taco on occasion. But
I've never even been to Del Taco.
Oh, their tacos are pretty good.
I'm scared of all drive-thrus.
It's very... It's all like... Because it's how... Like... It's packaged in like bags. And just sitting in boxes like it's shipped. Do you know what I mean? Like the concept of fast food blows my mind.
Even when I was a little kid, my mom would buy us Happy Meals all the time, and I was excited about the toys, but I wouldn't eat my burgers because they just it like there was something about it that really grossed me out, and it just turned me off of fast food in general. And then I had a really nightmare experience at Taco Bell when I was 17, and that was it for me. I was done with all fast food.
Yeah, what was the experience? Can you talk about it?
Do you really want to know?
At Taco Bell, was it something to do with the food? It was something to do with the food?
Yeah.
Yes, I really want to know. I'm very curious. Do you want to know, Aristotle?
I mean, for the record, this has nothing to do with Taco Bell and probably just the one location. And I'm sure that it was just...
What's the address of the location?
They actually, after this happened, they tore that Taco Bell down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they built they built a brand new one in its place.
No, I'm really curious.
Yeah. So this is going to sound like one of those crazy urban legend stories that I actually saw with my own eyes. But this girlfriend of mine went to the Taco Bell down the street from my house, and then it was the year that Gorditas came out. Do you guys remember that? Like
Yes.
97 maybe? Gorditas, 1997. So yeah, this was 97, and she went to the Taco Bell, and she came back to show us that, like the next day or whatever, she came back to show us that a fly had landed in her taco meat or somehow or another, a fly larva had gotten loose in her taco meat and then got into her mouth and attached itself to the inside of her cheek, because that's what fly larvae do. They attach onto things, like little cocoons or whatever. And she went to the doctor because she was like, what the fuck is in my face? And they were like, that's a fly larva. Where she obviously freaked out, and they said that they couldn't get it out. They had to laser out. They had to laser it out because it had like sort of attached to the tissue on the inside of her mouth. But they couldn't laser it out while the fly larva was still alive inside of the larva. So whatever. So she had to wait for the thing to hatch before she could go to the doctor and have them laser out the rest of the larva. And so luckily so that's when I saw her, because she came over. She was dating the boy who lived on the other side of my duplex. So she came over, freaked out, like, and crying to him, and didn't even know what to do. And then, of course, it caused such a commotion that everyone in our little area came out to see, and we were all just like looking in her mouth, and it didn't look crazy. It just looked like a little thing was in there. But she had to wait for it to hatch, which is a maggot. Luckily, it hatched while she was sleeping, so she didn't have to actually deal with it. But she'll always know that she swallowed a maggot that was attached on the inside of her mouth. So then she had the rest of it lasered out. But that ruined Taco Bell for me and killed the rest of... But before that, I would eat Wendy's because I really liked their fries, and I liked their Frosties. And
Oh, you ever dip the fries in the Frosties?
of course, that's my jam. That was my jam.
It's the best thing in the
But it
world.
ruined it for me. And then I didn't eat Taco Bell again until like 13 years later, when I started hanging out with Seth, and before I had the heart to tell him that I really couldn't do it, I did. I went, and I was like, I can do this just this once, and it made me so uncomfortable that I couldn't. I had to confess that I just couldn't go back to Taco Bell.
This podcast is brought to you by Taco Bell. No.
I hope not.
That's so gross.
It's like I said, it has nothing to do with Taco Bell. I feel bad.
Yeah. Well,
but it's a good thing I don't eat fast food. One less thing to think about.
I mean, it's just not good for you.
No,
It's just not good for you.
no.
Let's do another 180 here. This is a fun fact I found the other day. What kind of phone do you have? Do you have an iPhone, Samsung?
iPhone.
iPhones are considered smartphones, as are most phones now are pretty much smartphones. They probably could just be called phones. But the first smartphone was technically developed by IBM. The Simon Personal Communicator was the first cellular phone to include telephone and PDA features in one device. IBM debuted the prototype device, codenamed Angler, on November 23rd, 1992. Bell South later changed the name to Simon, and the term smartphone was not coined until 1995 when it was used in print for an AT&T phone writer. I'll pull it up here. Simon, so you can see Simon. I'm an IBM phone.
Oh. I have never seen that before. And before I got into iPhones, I was really obsessed with cell phones and cell phone everything, and was like even on like phone chat rooms talking about phones all the time with people.
Yeah. Did you have one of those sidekicks or whatever those were called?
I loved the Sidekick. Loved it.
A Razor. Remember Razors?
I had a Razor. I had a side. I mean, I literally have had every single phone. I mean, I would just burn through phones.
Yeah.
I loved them. I loved them so much. Phonearena.com was my favorite website for years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There was like an America Clam phone. You ever have that? The Ameritech. It was like a. Let me see here. Ameritech phone.
I've never even heard of an Ameritech phone.
Cell phone. Let me see if I can. My buddy had one, and it was like this thick. Let's see here.
What was your first phone?
My first phone. I didn't get my first cell phone until I was 21, and I got it because it was in maybe 2002. This is when I turned 21. I was in a band at the time, and we were driving I'm originally from Michigan, and it was similar to that.
I remember that phone.
We were driving. We were going to a music festival in Florida, and I got a phone. And that was actually coincidentally when I got my first credit card. Was when I was 21, back in 2002, because we were going to Florida, and it was
emergencies.
a trip, and it's like I better have a credit card in case like my car breaks down or So it was that my first phone was a Verizon. It was like a clunky. It wasn't a smartphone or anything like that. It was just a simple, one of those blue screens.
Yeah.
And then my second phone was it was a flip phone of some form, a Verizon flip phone. It was purple. Purple's my favorite color. Then my third phone was a Samsung, like a slider one that was half internet.
I remember that phone.
It was like a half. It was
It was like bluish gray. Yep. I had that phone too.
Yep, with the keyboard, and I missed the keyboard. And then this iPhone 5 is my fourth phone, my fourth cell phone, and my first iPhone, the 5. And I'm getting a 6 sometime this week because my phone, my top button doesn't work in this thing. Like, it'll charge, but I need to like finagle it in there.
Yeah.
And like, once it's connecting, I can't touch it.
It's crazy. These phones don't last as long as other phones, but I don't want to use any other phone.
I know.
I just don't.
I don't want to use any other phone, but
nope, no interest.
The iPhone is so like, and like, do you have yours connected to your computer probably? So
yes,
like, while you're on your computer, you can just text people from your
love
computer.
It.
It's the best thing. One of my roommates doesn't have an iPhone, and he'll text us, and he's like, "God damn it, dude! I don't want to touch my phone because I can text everybody else from my computer." But I'm too lazy to actually pick up my phone.
I have a friend who has a Galaxy, and I can text her. I can text her from my computer to her phone, which is interesting.
Huh?
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe that's my computer that I need to update, maybe, or if
I doubt it. It might just be her phone.
Her phone can do the.
It might just be her phone. Yeah, because I have other friends who can't do it. I just know her specifically, and it used to not work. I used to not be able to text her on my. It just started popping up this year. All of a sudden, I could text her from my computer, and I'm just going with it.
That's awesome. I'm jealous. Claire.
Yeah,
we are approaching the wrap up of the show here.
Fantastic.
This is the show. Now it's your show.
Yay!
It goes from my show to your show.
I love it.
Anything you got coming up? Where can people find you on the internet? If you got any projects coming up you want to promote, or any videos, new videos, or anything like that, anything, even if it's just something you like that's not yours, but you want to promote that, talk away.
Well, I have a movie coming out June 16th.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You can download that and rent it or buy it, stream it, whatever, I don't know, from iTunes and Amazon and all the things on June 16th. It's called Phantom Halo. And I think it's having a limited release, but I don't know in what cities or any of the details. And Team Unicorn just had some fun little clothes that we designed with We Love Fine that you can find on the We Love Fine website. Lots of space things and Ghostbusters and Back to the Future. And then, I don't know, you can find me on all of the interwebs. Clare Grant. No I in Claire.
I'm looking at this Phantom Halo.
Yeah.
The poster here. That's the dude that's the magic dude who can see the future from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Did you get spoilers from him while you were filming it? Did you like?
I actually didn't. I didn't work with him.
Oh, you didn't?
I worked with Sebastian Roche.
Okay. How was he?
He was fantastic. I loved him. He was so fun. I like working with cool people.
Yeah.
It sucks when you, especially if you meet somebody that you were aware of their work before and they're not awesome, because it's kind of ruins them as an actor for you too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's always a bummer when people you think are cool are not cool.
Yeah. I've only been let down a couple of times.
Yeah. I find it's luckily it's a rare thing.
Yeah.
Like,
it is a rare thing. Most of the time, it happens the opposite way. Like,
Yeah.
I'll meet somebody that I know is an actor, but I'm not familiar with their work, and then I'll meet them, and I'm like, oh, you're so fucking cool. And then
Yeah.
I'll go and watch things that they're in, and I'm like, oh, and I like you as an actor. This is great.
It's yes, exactly that. Like it's such a cool thing that the assholes are rare, and it makes a lot of sense because
Yeah.
if you're an asshole, people don't want to work with you 12 hours a day for
It's
3
true.
months. So people
Yeah.
aren't going to want to work with you. On top of the fact that being assholes you don't make, you know what I mean? Like nobody wants to work with you, or like you don't get anywhere being an asshole.
Yeah, no, you
So it's
don't.
really cool.
Yeah.
Like it's really awesome that everybody's so cool in
It
this
is.
town.
It is. It's good.
It's a great town to be in.
I like it.
Wonderful. So everybody check that movie out on June 16th.
Yep.
Perfect. Follow her on the internets and the interwebs. Do all of that. Watch everything she said. Go back and they did a lot of funny videos. Go check those out. The Team Unicorns and all of those music videos and all that type of stuff. Do that. You can follow the podcast on Twitter, TWL Podcast. You can follow me. My name is Razzle. And the number 2, you can follow Dan at OsteoFerocious. Send us an email at todaywelearnpodcast@gmail.com. Continue giving us good feedback and reviews on iTunes, and tell all your friends to check us out. And as always, don't cross the streams. And thank you guys very much. Thank you. Thank you, Claire.
Thanks.
Bye.
Now leaving Nerdist.com.